Emerging imperatives, we hope to explore new educational policies, continuous learning, and aligning curricula with industry needs for inclusive growth and higher incomes, particularly for women. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now joined by the Honorable Minister of Education, Skill Development and Entrepreneurship India, Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan. And I'd like to request the head of B20 India Secretariat and the DG of CII, Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, to please welcome them on stage. We are also joined by Mr. Atul Keshup, the Senior Vice President, U.S. Chamber of Commerce and President, U.S. India Business Council. A warm welcome, sir, to Mr. Pradhan and to Mr. Kashyap. May I request Mr. Banerjee now to please welcome our guests.
Shri Dharmendra Pradhanji, the Honorable Minister of Education and Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, a very good partner of ours, Ambassador Atul Keshup, the Vice President of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the President of the U.S. IBC, very distinguished Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. This morning, the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, addressing the scientists we've seen who are responsible for putting India onto the moon. And he said that New India will provide solutions to the big problems of the world in the 21st century. Today, the entire world is witnessing and accepting the strength of India's scientific spirit, our technology, and our scientific temperament. I just, when I was seeing that, I noted this down for this session especially, because I thought that it is so much relevant for this session and this context. It's a really pleasure, it's an honor and a privilege to welcome one of India's most dynamic and proactive ministers, Shri Dharmendra Pradhanji, to this very important B20 summit. As we enter an era of digitally driven knowledge-based economies, education and skill development, they're going to drive our national competitiveness. And it is in this context that Mr. Pradhan has always talked to us as to how we could really take this forward as a mission with Indian industry and our Indian industry's partnership with the rest of the world. Honorable Minister, under your leadership, we have seen great progress in these areas that I just mentioned about, and your vision that resulted in the introduction of the very transformational and game-changing new national educational policy in 2020. And there's been many discussions off the stage in our bilaterals and other meetings with the overseas visitors, especially today, with many countries. And the forward-looking policy of yours provides the youth of our country on an opportunity of education that is in line completely with the needs of both global and Indian economy, and also makes education, sir, if I may say, inclusive and accessible. We have seen great strides also being made in the field of skill development. And the proportion of the total workforce today having received vocational training, formally or non-formally, having increased, we say threefold since the last just a few years, 4 years if one can say. And India has today a phenomenal population of young people, and we talked about that again over the last 1.5 days, 29 years. It was mentioned over and over again, more than 65% of India's population in the working age group of 15 to 64. All of this we heard so much during the day. So today in this session, what we would be talking about is aligning education to these emerging imperatives and how we collaborate with the rest of the world and work together. Honorable Minister, to conclude, you were just hearing one of our chairs, Shobna was talking to you, given the global importance of education and skilling, how the task force that was formed on future of work, skilling and mobility within the B24 framework deliberated on skilling, reskilling, upskilling. And of course, we have a lot to understand from you as to how do we align and take advantage of also your vision. With those words, Mr. Minister, I welcome you once again to this B20 summit, and it's indeed an honor and pleasure that you are giving us this time. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan.
Namaste, Excellencies, dignitaries, friends from media, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to be here to share my thoughts on the theme, aligning education to emerging imperatives. Through India's G20 presidency, whether in working group or ministerial assembly, the greater global well-being has been cardinal philosophy in all discussions. The G20 theme of one earth, one family, one future, rooted in our ancient values of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, underscores that India's progress and growth is not only for its own people, but for global good, what we call Vishwa Kalyan, the well-being of the entire world. This week, we witnessed a historic feat with Chandrayans landed on the moon, making India the first nation on lunar South Pole. As we rejoice in this achievement, the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji articulate the inclusive and collaborative spirit of our aspiration when he said, "This success belongs to all of humanity and not just India." He said, all countries, including from the global south, can now aspire for the moon and beyond. Friends, India's strength is its democracy, demography, and diversity. Based on this, we are making rapid progress in a range of areas, especially in 4 dynamic sectors of energy, agriculture and food, security, medicines and healthcare, and digitization. In an era where the urgency of addressing climate change looming large, India's commitment to achieve net zero emission by 2070 and source 50% of its energy from renewables by 2030 is undeniably a bold step. We wish to showcase a model of sustainable development for the entire world, especially for the emerging economies. When the global discourse is sustainability is often marred by the posturing, India is willing to take a clear stand. We are ready to walk the talk. Similarly, we see the agri and food sector in India. We have transformed from a food deficit to a food surplus country. We have witnessed major shifts in our policies to achieve self-sufficiency in food grain production and even abundance. We still have unrealized potential in this sector. The industry can contribute with advanced technologies, investing in agribusiness venture, enhancing supply chain and fostering collaboration. In healthcare, India's competitive advantage lies in its large pool of well-trained medical professionals and low cost of treatment. Besides, India's pharma sector is doing exceedingly well, with exports reaching 25.3 billion. India's drug and pharmaceutical products export also grew by 125% in last 9 years. India exports medicine to around 200 countries, territories and accounts of 60% of global vaccine production, making the largest vaccine producer in the world. Further, India has supplied over 298 million COVID vaccines to around 100 countries across the globe under the Vaccine Maitri initiative. India's achievement in digitization has been substantial. The transformation brought about by initiatives like UPI and Aadhaar has improved governance and also created a vibrant innovation ecosystem. India in 2022 accounted for 46% of global real-time payments. I mention all this to drive home the point that India is future ready. As a student of global public policy, I can visualize how India is poised to drive the global growth. India's macroeconomic fundamentals are very strong. Despite global headwinds, India is among the fastest growing economy in the world. From one of the fifth most fragile economy a decade ago, India is now the fifth largest economy, with potential to become the third largest economy in next 5 years. The key to realize India's potential is working on the human capital through knowledge and skill for the workforce. Education is the mothership, so to speak, that will drive all growth. I take pride in handling education and skill development and entrepreneurship ministry today. As a knowledge civilization, India carries a natural reservoir of talent in its DNA. India is witnessing a path-breaking scenario in skilling and entrepreneurship. Today, we have the third largest startup ecosystem and over 100 unicorns. Not only the metro cities, India's innovation and startups are being driven by Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities and towns. By strengthening educational institutions and incubators and accelerators, we are cultivating a skilled workforce and harnessing India's demographic dividend for innovation. India is having education partnership with major countries of USA, Australia, Japan and Europe, where India's talent pool is recognized and eyed for under the Initiative on Critical and Emerging Technologies, ISET. India and USA have a roadmap for enhanced collaboration in high technologies area. The Quad Fellowship is an initiative of the Government of Australia, India, Japan and United States, which is designed to build ties among the next generation scientists and technologies. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, we have formulated a National Education Policy 2020, which prepares our students for 21st century. The NEP is rooted and futuristic. It is premised on the strong foundation of Indianness while promoting 21st century technology and skill among the students. We are integrating skill in school education from Standard 6 onward. There is a strong focus on learning in mother tongue to ensure strong conceptual understanding and learning. Between 3 and 23 years, we have a population of 523 million, out of which about 68% are enrolled to informal system. We are targeting 100% enrollment in knowledge ecosystem in schools, skill sector and higher education. With NEP, we are impacting cutting-edge skills and knowledge in students, including courses in coding, AI, semiconductors, drone technologies. National Research Foundation is being established to seed, grow and facilitate research at academic institutions. Industry academia linkage with provisions for co-founding are being strengthened. The focus is to make India an R&D hub, not back-end office for companies. We acknowledge that among with our IITs and NITs, Center of Excellence in universities and other higher education institutions can better drive research and innovation. With ambitious mission in emerging technologies like India Semiconductor Mission, National Quantum Mission, the government is making concerted efforts to ensure not only ease of doing business but also ease of doing research. We strongly believe that India is a huge laboratory for global good. The 21st century being a knowledge century, we are sure that new technologies will be a harbinger of a new order. With a vast talent pool, India is at the forefront of shaping this new order. As leaders of industry and business, you may take a call in building a realistic partnership with India. As I understand, you will always like to have a guarantee of stability and certainty. For the growth and excellence of business, this can well be ensured in India under Prime Minister Modi, if I may say so, the incredible Modi guarantee. Friends, business and education share a symbiotic relationship. The realm of business needs a workforce equipped with knowledge, skills and innovation, while educated and skilled workforce needs industry and business for their employment and knowledge application. Let us build a vibrant interface between knowledge sector and industry to secure a global good. Friends, we as a nation have set out our journey to become a fully developed country by the centenary of our independence in 2047. As we embark on this mission, we count on your support. Thank you, friends.
Friends, my dear friend and respected friend Chandrajit Banerjee has asked me to serve as a moderator for this. So I know that we're a little bit behind on schedule, so we'll try to be as crisp as possible. Let me begin by extending the very warm greetings of the President of the United States Chamber of Commerce, Suzanne Clark, to you, Honorable Minister, to you, CB, dear friend, and to everybody in the hall. This is a marvelous gathering and truly inspirational. What I really loved about the Minister's remarks is how forward-leaning they are, how compelling they are in terms of India's vision of not only its obligation for its own citizens, but frankly for the entire world. But friends, we all know that about Minister Pradhan. I was very fortunate to go to the G20 skilling event that he hosted in Bhubaneswar in April. It was a marvelous event, and I commend you, Minister, for all of your leadership. Thank you very much. We are at the point of the meeting where we will call on a few people for interventions and questions, but I'd like to start with CB, sir. Would you like to ask the first question?
I get a lot of opportunity to ask questions and get ideas from the Honorable Minister, but when he speaks, there are always many thoughts that comes to one's mind. And one of them, you talked about NEP, sir, NEP 2020, and you also talked about the establishment of the National Research Foundation, sir, and which will forge partnership between industry, academia, government, research. What are your thoughts on how it will help Indian institutes engage more, get engaged more globally, more into public research?
Thank you, Shivi. Thank you. As I said, if I give answer in a very, in my own way, when the entire world in the crossroad during early days of COVID crisis, we all are thinking about how this will end. So all experts recommend vaccine is the answer. How many time vaccine will take to come out? Can it possible India can develop a vaccine? I am confidently today in a position to say India not only come out with solution, India became solution to the global crisis, and our institutions are the main contributor of this kind of cutting edge requirement when the globe was at crisis. See the economic fundamentals of our country. Today, if our Indian industry, our Indian economy is thriving, as I said, decades ago, we are known as the fragile 5 economy. Today, we are the number 5th economy. The basic contribution is coming from our Indian education system, our Indian education ecosystem. Recently, We have been invited from the UAE and some of the African countries to open IIT in their own country. My dear friend Chris is here. He has kindly consented to open a IIT Madras in Tanzania. And another IIT was opened at UAE, at Abu Dhabi. Few weeks back exactly, the UAE Minister of School Education came to India with a group of school students in a boot camp to give them expose how is IIT ecosystem is working. In the introduction speech, the lady minister was telling to their students, do you know where are you? Where the global CEOs have been created. This is the Indian institution's brand value today. Whether it is IIT, IIM, NITs or Tier 2, Tier 3 institution of our country. India has a basic fundamental strength in our education system. I can visualize today, I have quoted two of the prominent types from our side, ISET and Quad Fellowship. These are the sign and symbol of global community reliance and faith on our Indian education system with instruments like NEP and NRF and with cooperation from our Indian industry, I can visualize a bright future of Indian education system for global well-being.
Minister, as someone who spent over 15 years of my career working on the Quad and having been born and grown up in Africa, your remarks on the Quad and on IITs and IIMs in Africa make me so happy. So thank you for those great remarks. May I call on a few people from the audience, if you don't mind, to ask a couple questions? And friends, time is tight, so kindly do keep it brief. Let's start, please, with Mr. Lavneesh Chanana, Senior Vice President and Regional Head of Government Affairs for Asia Pacific and Japan at SAP. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Minister, for highlighting your vision. Indeed impressive. My point is largely on skilling, and that too around the emerging digital world such as artificial intelligence. India, Minister, you will agree that has a unique opportunity and advantage from the talent and skills supply side when it comes to digital world. And it's a universal phenomena that we are observing that the shortage is accepted globally. I just wanted to get your views, Minister, on extending the so well created Skill India platform to cover the skill requirements of other countries, maybe partially contributing to the recommendation that was spoken about by the Future of Work Task Force in creating a universal labor management information system, extending this support and collaboration to the digital journey elsewhere, in addition to supplying the required resources for our own in-house demand.
Thank you. I know my capacity, I know my limitations also. With all these scenarios, with all reality, today, India is the #1 digital happening points in the globe today. As I quoted, 46% of transaction in digital platform is from India. How it is happening? Unless until we have a strong capacity of manpower on this area, this could not have been achieved. But is it sufficient? I will say it's no. So Prime Minister Modi has an ambitious statement. India should be the hub of global manpower, the skilled manpower. That is our ambition. So why I am here? My sole purpose to be here in your business summit, we must in India, what we lack, there is no proper mechanism of industry and academia in the skill area. We have a proper network in research area. The institution like NRF is going to accelerate that and facilitate that in a bigger way. But in our skill sector, though we are very focused on certain area, as I said, coding, AI, AR, VR, drone technologies, and skilled manpower for semiconductors. There is a mission, especially in ISET, when I'm talking to our US counterpart, where we were specific verticals on talent pool and especially in skills and especially skill and digital world. But beyond that, now my role is here to facilitate. I have to create an instrument. How can I create a bridge between Indian talent pool, Indian institution, and need of the industry? And we have to work together. Our effort is not only going to benefit Indian, though India is a very robust and captive market today in all front, but beyond that, we have our responsibility and we have our priority in the global map also.
Minister, thank you for that very pro-business message. Really appreciate that. Let me turn now to Mr. Arjun Nohar, who's the GM for South Asia at Warner Brothers Discovery. Arjun, please.
Thank you, Ambassador Kashyap. Pleasure to listen to you this afternoon, Honorable Minister. Good afternoon to the dignitaries on the dais and my fellow guests. I'm happy to talk about the ever-evolving media and entertainment industry, which is deeply intertwined with today's theme on skilling. This industry has undergone a seismic shift in recent years, necessitating a dynamic workforce equipped with new age skills and a keen understanding of technology's role in shaping narratives. This sector has transitioned from traditional formats to immersive virtual experiences, offering boundless possibilities. It highlights the importance of educating our workforce, not just in conventional arts, but also in digital realms, data analytics, and UI, UX design. Before I ask my question, I would like to offer 4 suggestions to the Honorable Minister to address the skilling needs of the M&E sector in India. The first, if we could establish government-associated film schools across various states, inspired by institutions like FTII. These schools should be designed to match the caliber of premier institutions like FTII, IIMs, IITs, ensuring linguistic inclusivity, which would be vital to harness our country's diverse talent pool. The second, integration of ABGC into the formal education curriculum. To broaden the scope of learning beyond academics, we recommend integrating ABGC content into curriculum across boards, and this can really help address a little bit of the stigma surrounding this sector in terms of job creation from the grassroots level and encourage diverse skill development. The third, on-the-job training for technicians, address the need for specialized training for technicians, particularly in areas like camera operations. And the last, empower long-format storytelling. Recognizing the significance of long-format storytelling, we propose the inclusion of a dedicated curriculum for writers, which can also counter the common reliance on writers from journalism backgrounds, ensuring a dedicated pool of talent equipped for the digital landscape. The question to you, Honorable Minister. With the M&E industry, currently it's undergoing a shortage of skilled manpower. In your opening remarks, you talked about some of the solutions for that, including the industry-academia collaboration to address the training across technical and non-technical aspects. Could you talk a little bit about how the government perceives the importance of setting up institutional infrastructure to address this gap relative to other sectors like pharma, healthcare, IT, manufacturing, and how can we as industry partners help in this? Thank you.
Thank you, Arjunji. In a lighter vein, I will say this is a very parliamentarian type of question. He gave 4 suggestions and put 3 supplementaries. But being a parliamentarian and being a minister in Prime Minister Modi's government in the last 9 years, I am also skilled now to answer in my way. It is a very good question. Very good question. And with all of your cooperation and suggestion, we have envisioned national education policy. All the 4 issues has been dealt in national education policy. For the first time, we give permission to institutions, you go for multidisciplinary. There is no fixed thing. Now IIT are envisioning liberal arts center in their own campus. Now normal general universities are now opening undergraduate course in AI. Again, I am going to quoting my dear friend Chris institution, IIT Madras, IIT Chennai. On online platform, they have created a course, BSc Data Science. This is a very qualitative and Chandruji, I can say they have taken inspiration from your TCS Ignite. From there, I have analyzed both the scheme. There is a little bit blend of both the things. So this multidisciplinary and flexibility to the institutions. There are 1100 university equivalent institutions in our country. Around more than 3000 quality autonomous colleges are there. These around 4,500 institutions are free to envision according to the market need their own course, curriculum and certificates. They are free. The Government of India has unbundled the sector in one stroke in the NEP. Number two, we have to how to create more values in this area. How to train, how to. If I cite another example, in India, in the NEP, for the first time, we are giving primacy to the early childhood care and education, ECC. We are going to formalize the education. Previously, the underprivileged people are taken care by Anganwadis, and the affluent people are sending their kids to play schools. Now, from this year, Government of India has implemented the first cohort from the age group of 3. The new education policy will provide education to them, to kids. What are the curriculums? Curriculum is storytelling. Curriculum is song. And India is lot of capacity of, India is a story. India is an idea. If you go to every village, I am telling you there are 6 lakhs villages in India. Every village there is a story. There is a hero, there is a mythology of the village, there is a positive thinking in the village. This all has to encourage in the new education policy we have envisioned. India is changing according to the need of the globe. But one gap area, industry has to handhold. We don't know. Today I am candidly admitting one fact in front of all of you. Our education institutions are very qualitative, very full of lot of talents, but somehow due to lack of network between industry, academia and policymaker, what is the trend of the world? We don't know. Wearing few IITs and quality institutions, lot more institutions go on a very conventional way. If industry will handhold them, industry will put the requirement in front of them, more interaction will be there, then only they can create the desired courses. So here I appeal to all of you in your respective area, by next 25 years in the Amrit Kal, what we have to do? We have to analyze our future. First, energy. In the next 25 years, what kind of energy is expected to be in our country? In the sustainability era, what kind of quality energy we are envisioning? What is its academic aspect? What is its applied aspect? All these things has to be converted to the curriculum, and our education institution quite capable to convert, percolate and trickle down to the students' community. This linkage is more important, and happy with this very elite club you have invited a knowledge stakeholder. Thank you.
Arjun, your question about long-form narratives reminds me of another Arjuna who featured very prominently in an Indian masterpiece of the long-form narrative. Thank you so much. May I call now on Ms. Penny Burt, who's the head of Public Policy and Government Relations, Asia Pacific for Stripe. Penny, over to you.
Ambassador, thank you so much for the opportunity. And Honourable Minister, thank you for your presentation today. And let me join others here in warmly congratulating India on its excellent G20 year and say how delighted we are to see the strong focus on innovation, growth, inclusion and sustainability. Thank you. I will keep my question to a shorter than parliamentary length, Arjun, for the Minister, given the time we have available. As an innovative global fintech, Stripe, like many others here today, is very focused on how we best make the value of the global digital economy accessible to all. And as you've spoken about today, India has been so successful in building its digital economy and actually in creating access and equity for all. Across the work of the B20 task forces, we've seen many recommendations on ways of enhancing the digital economy. Today, I actually wanted to ask you about a very specific recommendation that we think is going to be crucial to the future of the digital economy. And that is the recommendation for the adoption of global minimum digital literacy standards. I'd love to hear from you, Minister, today, as I'm sure we all would, how India might move that forward in the G20 as an initiative, and most importantly, what role businesses can play in supporting both the development of those standards and, of course, in the future, what sort of partnerships we can forge with government to deliver against those standards through digital skilling, upskilling and reskilling. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you. You are asking the question how to standardize the digital literacy. Tell me, let me answer in my, again, according to my understanding. I am a political activist. I have to tour to countryside in every week. Whenever I visit in any part of the country in the rural area, in the last few years I am observing a new trend. The new trend is lot of women are coming out to the street in the village. They are taking video of the small procession of small activities in the village. Out of anxiety, once I asked the young girl, what are you doing? What you will do with this video? She said, I will put it in my Facebook. There is a standard. My learning from that girl, there is a standardization, there is a benchmark, there is a quality. I saw it from the hand. And I saw a quality video. Today, I met my colleague from my friends from the Meta, the old Facebook group, few days ago. I asked them, now your primary concentration of whether WhatsApp or Insta or Facebook is primarily for entertainment. Now, you see, what is my number? How can we create an ecosystem? If we go with a big number and create a quality ecosystem, the standard will come out of that. Now, there are more than 300,000 common service centers in the different part of village. There is a standard. More than 20 services has been given in those common service centers. All the government schemes are now rolled out in that common service center. As I said, by next 2 years, all the Indian village will be connected with optical fibers. And that means there is a small airport in every village. Now Indian institutions and Indian policy maker has envisioned, and Prime Minister is very keen on this area, being a techno-savvy country, we have already adopted 5G, our indigenous 5G. And very soon we have started working on the 6G. With all these kind of futuristic technologies in our hand, and ambition in our mind, unless until we create a process, we create a roadmap, and we create some benchmark. We know, I can cite one successful case study of our Indian IT industry. I am told 1/3 of the global IT manpower is only from India. Unless until we are qualitative people, our Indian company, our Indian, and other way. I was working in the energy sector before to this responsibility. Some of my old friends, I am seeing some of my old friends of those period. I have not seen a company of the global reputation, those back-end office is not in India. What does it mean? There is a standard, there is a talent, there is a benchmark. India is a very adaptable to the new things, that is our USP. मैं हिंदी में कहूँ तो जुगाड़ू टेक्नोलॉजी में हमसे कौन जीत सकता है? Some of your colleagues may translate what I said to you. So, as an adaptable country, as an open country, and I strongly believe India is a STEM-centric country. 1,000 years ago, we have built marvelous monument in the different part, whether it is go to Kanchipuram, whether go to Puri, whether go to any other part of the country, you will find 1,000-year-old temples. They are not only structures, they are architect, they are physics, there is a science, chemistry is involved, instrumentation is involved. Being a scientific community, my dear friend Narendran is here, he is a steel magnate. In few centuries ago, we have developed wood steel, which has been used in the entire Europe as their instrument of war. So India is a knowledge society, India has its own benchmark, and will adopt the global requirement, and we need your hand-holding, we need your, as a client, we need your wish list.
Friends, we are over time, so thank you very much for all of those questions. Really appreciate the observations. I'll wrap this up by saying just a couple things. Number one, how much we appreciate Minister Dharmendra Pradhan for giving so generously of his time and giving such keen observations. It is clear that under his tutelage, the effort to transform India into the shining future that we all hope for is certainly well underway. And we recognize the critical role that business plays. CII and the United States Chamber of Commerce and all the other business associations that represent all of you recognize that business is key to ensuring the skills of the future for the prosperity of countries like India. I'll illustrate this with a point and then we'll close. I asked the head of a company that sources skilled talent for companies around the world. I said at a lunch in DC a few months ago, I asked him, do you look at other demographically significant countries like Egypt or Indonesia or Nigeria to find the skills that you need, that companies need? He said, absolutely not. India is the only game in town. India has the largest available, scalable, highly skilled talent in the world. And so, Minister, I would say to you that it is not only important for India's happiness and prosperity, it's important, frankly, for the happiness and prosperity of an increasingly technologically and skilled world that we get this right. So you have the full support of business. We thank you, CB, and wish everybody a great day. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister, sir. A photograph for posterity. Thank you, Mr. Banerjee and Mr. Kashyap. Ladies and gentlemen, we quickly move into our next session, which is sustainability and development imperatives and the role of standards.